right. I think we should go ahead and get started and not wait too long. People can join us when they have a chance. So, again, welcome. Thanks everyone for joining us virtually. This is I like being able to do this because, it makes it convenient. And we will be sending out a recording of this session afterwards so that it can be shared and those who weren't able to make it can catch it later. So hopefully we can answer all of your questions right off the bat, and then we'll have time for questions at the end as well. So first, I'm already talking, but I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Chef Lachelle Cunningham. I'm the culinary education manager at the Good Acre, and that is where we run the program called VoCul, and basically shorthand for vocational culinary training program. And so I'm hoping everyone that's here already kind of knows that we're doing culinary. Little bit of background about me. I've been in the food industry for over 10 years now. Started out as an entrepreneur, starting my catering business, and then ended up opening a restaurant and going and teaching culinary school, and then ended up here at the Good Acre about almost 3 years ago, and basically built this program called VoCul. And so I'm going to tell you more about that. You can learn more about me in my bio on thegoodacre.org. There's info there. I also have my own website called LachelleCunningham.com if you want to learn more there. And another website called thehealthyrootsinstitute.com. It's actually not the Healthy Roots, it's healthyrootsinstitute.com. So you can go there if you want to learn more information about me and my work. And it links into the things that I do here at the Good Acre, which is mostly my mission is to impact people through food. Another chef, one of our other, and so introducing you to the team, a couple people that aren't actually going to be with us tonight because they have busy schedules, but we love that they join us each cohort to help instruct. And so one of our instructors is Chef Jamal Hashi, Somali American chef, worked in the food industry over 20 years. Basically is credited for introducing African food, especially camel meat, to Americans. He's opened 13 restaurants over the course of his career, does a lot of social justice and food work, and programming and consulting, and is just a really awesome chef. So he's one of our chef instructors. And then our other chef instructor is Jenny Breen, who has been in the culinary industry for over 25 years, owned her own restaurant, a farm to table restaurant, catering company for 10 years? No, 20 years, looks like. I didn't realize that it was that long. And so, she's very well educated, does a lot of work in the community, again, around food and social justice, sustainability, health, those types of things. She teaches classes at the U of M. You can learn more about Chef Jenny at transformingthetable.com. And you can Google and Instagram and Facebook all of these instructors. They all have social media where you can learn more about what they're doing, currently. And then we have Brenna, who's actually here with us. So Brenna, I'll have you actually introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hello, my name's Brenna. I joined the VoCul team in January. And I grew up in the Twin Cities, but I just moved back from rural Minnesota, where I'd been working on some farms and greenhouses and got some kitchen management and restaurant experience there too. So enjoy working in food spaces and also enjoy thinking about what people need to be able to do well in them. So I've enjoyed getting to know or learn from other people's experiences in this program. And I do a lot of the administrative work. So that's kind of my wheelhouse right now, is making sure everyone has what they need to show up to the program and make it work.
Awesome. Yes, Brenna keeps us all together, literally, in this program. Thanks, Brenna. And then we do have someone that's from the greater Good Acre team, and I'd like to introduce Nikki, Nikki, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lachelle. My name is Nikki. I'm the communications director at the Good Acre. So if you all got an email encouraging you to sign up for this, that probably came from me. And yeah, I'll be helping to promote the application and then just really share the work of each cohort that comes through this program. It's really a unique, one-of-a-kind program. The Good Acre, our mission is to connect and strengthen farmers, food makers, and communities through good food. And we see VoCul as an extension of that mission, because by empowering more culinary professionals to learn about seasonality and food systems and food justice in our own communities, we are creating local food champions, in whatever food service industry you find yourself in. So I think that I'll kind of pass the baton back to Lachelle to talk a little bit more just about the curriculum and what to expect. And yeah, thanks, Lachelle.
Thank you. Yeah, and just for those who don't know, the Good Acre, we were founded in 2014, so 8 years now, been a nonprofit, really mission driven around connecting and strengthening farmers, food makers, and communities through good food. And so we do that through our programming and at our location, our physical location, which is in Falcon Heights on Larpenteur off of Snelling. There we have a warehouse where we are able to support farmers. They can come and, bring their produce and wash it and prepare it for the market. We have storage for them there. So we do support them in that way, as well as through our grower support programming, where we provide technical assistance and other support directly to farmers in their growing practices and in the season and out of season and planning and all of those things. And then we also have a wholesale program. So with the different farmers that we work with, we basically do what's called aggregating their produce, bringing their different farmers who might have carrots, bringing that all together and then selling that wholesale to different markets. And so, and that's kind of how we got into connected with schools, is that we wanted schools was one of our markets, right? To sell produce to get more locally grown and locally sourced produce into schools and ultimately into students. And so in that work, it was really identified that, schools needed more support than just getting the access to the sourced wholesale ingredients. They needed training for their staff to be able to get, learn how to use more locally sourced whole ingredients. And so we started doing culinary training through that piece. And so I'll talk more about that culinary training. But in addition to culinary, in the space at the Good Acre, we also have a kitchen that different food makers use to produce their products for the market as well. So mostly retail and wholesale production happens out of that kitchen space. And then in addition to our wholesale, program, we also have a CSA, a farm share, where people can purchase a farm share, basically, which gets them a box of fresh produce once a week. And so you can learn more about all of that and all of our programming at thegoodacre.org. But like I said, we had gotten into doing culinary training to help people, to help schools utilize locally sourced, fresh produce. And so from that, doing that work, we had the opportunity to get a grant to build programming around developing vocational training to train more people to go not only into schools, but into the food industry as a whole. And so that's really where it started, was with our work with schools, but it's also expanded outside of schools into restaurants, catering, and other food production spaces where we have partnerships and relationships. And we'll talk more about the internship situation. But ultimately, that's where we started, farm to school work. That's still where we're deeply embedded in, and we're continuing to evolve this program. And ultimately, we want to bring a holistic approach to solving critical gaps in our food system. Ultimately, we want to build successful and sustainable farm to school and ultimately farm to table programs, right? And so we're trying to do that with providing more training. Okay, and so that's what the program is about. And so we really do stand on, supporting local agriculture, supporting local businesses, and ultimately building a workforce that can be successful and prosperous in this industry. And so we have some partners that we work with to do the work. And that is, we have partners that we work with that help to recruit the program. And then we have partners that we work with to help keep the program going and make it sustainable. And we have partners that we work with that on the side of internships, kitchen partners where we send our participants once they've completed the training. So some of those are Esperanza United, Healthy Roots Institute, Child Girls, Eat for Equity, Great River School, Hopkins. These are some of our more active partnerships. We also have other partners that we kind of work with and ebb and flow within different times. You know how it is. It's all weird since pandemic happened, but we keep flowing with it. But ultimately, we, want to talk about overall what is VoCul, right? So what we're doing in the program, I talked about the background. Let me give you kind of a rundown of the, I think I'm going to skip ahead a little bit of the training elements. I'll answer these frequently asked questions. So I already talked about who is involved, what VoCul is, right? So when the training takes place, so we're recruiting now, we're accepting applications through July 5th. And then we'll go through the selection process and do interviews. And our target date to start is August 22nd, which is a Monday. Where it takes place is it's actually a hybrid model. So we meet twice a week in person, and that is at Christ Lutheran Church in St. Paul on University and off of Rice Street. It is catty corner from the Capitol, and there's a commercial kitchen in the basement called the Abundant Kitchen. And so that's where we meet, is in the Abundant Kitchen in the basement, in the church basement, which I just, I have some connections to that type of environment. But anyway, I almost got sidetracked. And so we do that. We meet twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays for 10 weeks. I think we might have like a date. I think it's Labor Day where we have to skip. So we make that up on an additional Monday. But for the most part, we're meeting Mondays and Wednesdays. Brenna, I think we switched the start time, didn't we?
Yeah, it's either 7:30 or 8. I don't.
Yeah. It's 7:30 or 8, and I keep saying that in my mind. I think we said 7:30, but just know 7:30 at the earliest. Okay. Well, once we do the selection process and we send out the information, we'll confirm those times. But Mondays and Wednesdays, and we meet for about 7-8 hours. And basically what that looks like is a lecture and then a lab in the class. And the lab is related to the coursework, which I'll talk about. But we have the labs, and then we have the lecture, we have the labs, and then whatever the lab is, we create a meal out of the lab ingredients that we use. So the lab might be cutting up a whole chicken. So then we would make a chicken dish with the chicken that we cut up. Okay. Or it might be fish or beef, or it might be vegetables or salads and things like that. And we basically plan a meal. We have a planned meal that we're going to make in recipes to create a balanced meal. And we have a family meal together. And then that's what we do on those days. Sometimes we might have field trips built in or guest speakers. And then additionally, we always try to have a guest chef come and visit the classroom as many of the days as we can get guest chefs to come in. And they're usually trained or very experienced local chefs in the industry. And so you get not only access to Chef Jenny and Chef Hashi and myself and all the team, but also other chefs who have other experience. And the real purpose of that is obviously to get you some more get our participants more well-rounded experience, but also to provide networking opportunities, right? And so, and just building relationships. And so that's what we do. Next question is, will you be paid to participate? And oh, I just want to go back to the where does VoCul take place just for a second, because I told you we have a location on Falcon Heights, and we are working on building a kitchen in that space that'll be dedicated to training. But right now the kitchen space that we have is dedicated to our makers. And so we use a satellite kitchen space, but no, we're connected to the Good Acre, and that's where we will have our graduation ceremonies. And you're welcome to actually go and stop by anytime when the Good Acre is open and ask for a tour, or call ahead and maybe schedule it. I don't know about people's busyness, but you can always stop by and check out the space there if you're interested and learn more about the organization. So on to the next question of, sorry, let me take a drink of water. Will you be paid to participate? And that is, the answer to that is yes. We provide a stipend, a weekly stipend through the program. And that hopefully allows some, flexibility with you being able to focus on the program. But let me say this, I'm sorry, I gotta go back to the where will it take place again, because I missed one part of that too. That is half of it, half of the course is in, yes, thank you, Ms. Lynn. Yes, the hybrid part, thank you. I kind of went off, got sidetracked. So the hybrid part is that the other part, the part outside of the classroom. So like I said, we spend about 7-8 hours per day in the classroom. Sometimes we could get done early. We usually don't get done late. And ultimately what that is what 14 to 16 hours. So we say that the total program could take around 28 to 30 hours. Now that all depends on how fast you study too. Okay, so the other part of this is the curriculum and your studies. So the hybrid is that all of the studies and the coursework, well, 95% of the coursework is online. The only thing that's not online in the coursework is obviously the time we're in the classroom and in the lecture. And then the other part of that is when is the Serve Safe book. So we provide the Serve Safe book, and you're supposed to course through reading that book as a part of your coursework, right? And we have a breakdown of a schedule of kind of what that looks like, that you get in orientation, and that you can reference, and it basically tells you like what items you should be working on each week to stay on top of your coursework. Okay, so, and those platforms that we use, the first one that we use, and I think we're going to be using this platform again just to go through your orientation paperwork. If you're accepted into the program, we use a platform called WorkRamp. That's really just to get you through all of the beginning coursework or the beginning orientation paperwork. Okay, once you're done with that, then you get, and that actually puts you through the process of logging on to the other two platforms that we use. One of them is called Ruby, and Ruby is our online culinary training programming. And it is accredited. This whole entire program is accredited, which means it does apply towards continuing education and furthering your culinary career should you have the desire to do so. We have, over, I think it's like 400 hours at this point of time, 300, okay, sorry, 300 hours of time that that can count towards your culinary education. So, but Ruby is an online platform, and basically it has modules. We have 2 levels in Ruby. One is level 1, and then there's level 2. We do have access to some other, it's professional cooking levels 1 and 2, right? And then there's some other platforms in there that aren't required by the program, but you do have access to them while you have access to the Ruby platform. Um, there's a seafood literacy and a plant-based one and an eggs one and a waste reduction one. So there's a couple of other like learning modules that you can go through, but we go through level 1 and 2 to get through this course. And so in our course schedule, again, it tells you which modules you need to go through each day to stay on track with your coursework. Those modules are going to be interactive. It's all online based. I definitely recommend having a laptop or a tablet to complete it with. I believe it is accessible on a phone, not what I recommend, but it's possible. And ultimately you go through these tasks, right? It has different units. So there's 10 to 15 units in each level. And we go through those units. I think we might even be able to go through it, but I just want to get through the frequently asked questions and like course through my PowerPoint. But you have these different tasks and they're interactive. Some of it might be things you're going to read, some of it are going to be videos, some of it's going to be activities, some of it's going to be assessments and kind of like tests and quizzes. You're going to be able to cook and upload photos of your food. There's actually instructors inside your computer that grade your, I'm kidding, that was a joke. I hope that made you laugh. No, but there are instructors that grade your work that you submit that aren't a part of VoCul. They're Ruby instructors that grade some of your work that you submit, right? And so, but some of your work is graded in the classroom, in the kitchen, okay? And those are called labs. They're called live graded labs. And so you go through, so you don't do the live graded labs at home. Anything that's a live graded lab, you save that because we put you through those labs, and those are coursed through. You can see it all in the schedule when you're doing what labs, and they're all related to the coursework that you should be going through in your time. So all of that online work is done in your own time, and you're managing that with your life ultimately. And so you go through those modules. There's a pre-assessment. You go through these different activities and the tasks and different things you have to do. It's very interactive. And then after each unit, there's an assessment where you basically get a grade. And at the end of it, you get a completion certificate at the end of each level. And so we course you through the classroom, in the kitchen and the classroom alongside, and we supplement the material through lectures. Okay, so you definitely want to take notes on the lectures and you're going to get a lot. So that's Ruby. And then the other platform we use is ServeSafe. So ServeSafe is the National Restaurant Association's curriculum on the food safety manager's certification. And that's a certification that is basically required if you're going to be the person in charge at a restaurant or a food establishment. And the person in charge might mean you're the owner, it might mean you're the chef, it might mean the person that they left there to do everything. So having that is very important. It's great to have on your resume if you can complete that course and the test. We also do pay for you to actually get the license. So when you go through the ServeSafe, it's an online platform, and there's 10 modules. There's a post test at the end, and you're learning that. We also do want you to read the book in addition to the online platform. It is not an easy test to pass. Not everybody does pass it. So in order to increase your likelihood of passing it, we ask you to read the book and do the online modules. Now, all of this again is coursed through. So if you stay on track of your studies, but I'm telling you, it is definitely at least 15 hours of work. It should not be it shouldn't really be a lot more than that. So you kind of got to manage how much time you're going through, because sometimes if you're taking too copious of notes, not saying don't take notes, please take notes, but if you're doing that too much, it could make your study time longer, right? So you just have to think about that. But ultimately, the courses are all timed and they each tell you how long they should take to do each task. So you should be able to get through that in the time, but it does take the time. So this is definitely 30 hours a week of work. Okay. And so, or 28 to 30 is what I would say. And so you want to go ahead and go get through the ServeSafe online portal, get through the Ruby online portal, and then get through your weekly labs on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then that's, you know, where it takes place. And then, as I said, you do get paid $420 a week, which is around $15 an hour for 28 hours a week of work. And so again, something to think about with the time, and you know, is that sufficient for you? The eligibility requirements is just that, you know, we require people to be 18 years of age or older. That's like the main requirement. Honestly, I mean, we do say we want a high school equivalency, and we have been doing background checks as well. That may or may not still be the case. We're kind of redeciding that as we change some of the programming to create more, open up more opportunities for people that might have barriers. But at this point, we do 18 years of old, high school equivalency, and the background check. And then, is job placement guaranteed after graduation? No. Graduation, so we have the 10 weeks of training where we meet twice a week and you go through the online modules that I talked about. And then at that end of that 10 weeks, people have the option to go on an internship. The internship is not a requirement. Okay, so if it doesn't not a good fit, let's just we can not do it. But if it is a good fit, it's a great opportunity to get some hands-on experience, and potentially have a job opportunity. So if it works out, because sometimes the intern may not want the job opportunity, and sometimes the host site may not have an opportunity, right? So, so we can't guarantee that, but what we do is help to hopefully foster those relationships and nurture those relationships through the program. Couple of cohort highlights. We need to put some of the past cohort photos on there, but this is from cohorts 1 and 2. Some photos, great times with those guys. And so we are now going into our 4th cohort, or what we're calling fall 2022 cohort. And, you know, here's some great pictures of us in the class, I always call it the classroom, the kitchen classroom, or the kitchen lab with some of our guest chefs, and, you know, and then at graduation. And so we usually have a graduation ceremony. We do provide, oh, here, this is going through all the training elements. We do provide we provide a uniform, we provide a knife kit, right, pretty much right away. Well, the knife kit you get right away, and then we get your sizes, and then we order your uniforms, which include non-slip shoes, pants, a chef coat. Is that it?
Apron.
And an apron, yes. And then you have a knife kit with all of the knives that you'll need and some additional utensils that we stock in there. And then you also get the ServeSafe book. So those are your materials that you get. And you get a binder. And the binder has, you know, it allows you to put your recipes and keep them organized, and also, you know, put your notes. And we have a weekly self-reflection that you kind of do each week. So I already kind of explained this, which is the training elements, the course components, Ruby Online Foundations, Culinary Foundations Level 1 and 2, and ServeSafe Food Safety Managers Training and Exam. So, the part about the exam. So we have the training, you know, you course through the book and the online course. And the way we have it scheduled out, I think you finish around week 7 or 8. Might even be sooner than that with the coursework. And then we end up doing the exam around session 7 or 8 or 9, depending on how the schedule falls. And that's a 2-hour exam, and everyone goes through that. We do it on our tablets, or people can bring their laptops. It's an online exam, and I proctor that. And that again allows you to get that ServSafe certification, and ultimately the license, which we also have you complete the application and give us a copy of your certification, and then we send it into the Department of Health for you, and then they send you the license ultimately. So we're trying to get you all the way through the license through the program. And then I mentioned the in-person cooking labs lecture, and the remote work. I don't think it's 10 hours. I'm gonna go here really quick to show you the online portal. Can everyone see my screen? I'm in Ruby now. So I'm in Ruby. So when you log in, this is the screen that it brings you to. Apparently I was already logged in. And so once you get all set up and get your access to the portal, we have Culinary Foundations Level 1, Level 2. Like I said, there's egg foundations, functionality, plant-based foundations, seafood literacy, and waste not. Awesome. And so those are the modules that you can go through. So I'm going to go through and just show you really quick level 1 and what it kind of looks like. So they have a video tutorial that you watch so you can get trained on how to go through the course. But you see here, there's I'll do the unit view. So we see Culinary Foundations Level 1, overview, knives, knife kits and knife sharpening, food and kitchen safety, dry heat cooking methods, moist heat cooking methods, how to make stock, seasoning, plating, nutrition in the kitchen. And then you have the final unit, which is the assessment. And I can show you here. So the way that the unit is broken down is by tasks. And so you go in, read the introduction, or go through the introduction for each unit so you understand the intro, the orientation and objectives for each one. And then as you can see, you do a self-assessment and a pre-assessment for this one. And then now you're going through and doing these modules. So I'll just go into one here. And this is a lesson you read through talking about selecting knives. So you watch this video, which is 6 minutes, and then you course through and click next, and whatever happens next, happens next. Now, so this is an activity where you're actually like labeling the parts of the knife, right? So you go to the task activity, and now you have to go ahead and put the things where they go and then have it grade you. Okay. And so these activities and these tasks and the associated activities and different things are different, for each module that you're going to go through. So that's ultimately that. I'll go through and just show you really quick what the units are in level 2. So Culinary Foundations overview, salads and vinaigrettes, vegetables, eggs, soups, sauces, rice and grains, legumes, pasta, meat, poultry, fish, baking basics and bread, pastry basics, and chocolate. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not gonna dig deep into baking. This is mostly a culinary course. So we do give you some basics around baking, but we're not doing any, extensive baking or pastry in this course. We're going to do like biscuits and cobblers and cookies and like kind of quick things that you would make more than we're going to do. Now we do a little bit, we do have a pastry chef that comes in as a guest chef, or we have had, and that's always been a fun experience, and they can teach some of that stuff, but it's literally like 2 days, right? So, well, 2 6 days if we can get it all in, depending on all the stuff we have. So that is the the platform called Ruby. There's all kinds of other stuff. They have like live events and things that you can get involved in that are happening on the Ruby platform. You can create goals for yourself and really create a profile, and there's all kinds of cool stuff going on there. So so that's ultimately the training elements. Then I talked about that you go through the 4-week internship at one of our sites. This last time we had people working with a few catering companies. We had a couple of schools that we had. And so that's what, Child Girls, Eat for Equity, Shell's Kitchen, St. Paul Catering, Hopkins Schools, and Great River Schools are the people we worked with last time. So once all of that is complete, so ultimately, we want people to complete their internship within 4 weeks, right? And it's 28 hours a week, so that's 112 hours. We do give a little bit of a grace period if people take a little bit longer, but we really don't want to go longer than a week or two past the deadline to finish those hours. So if it does, then you might not finish all your hours and we might have to just stop things where they're at so that we can complete the program. And that all culminates to our graduation, where we come together and celebrate graduates of the program. We celebrate with providing certificates and having a meal together, inviting family and friends. We kind of limit it because the COVIDs and stuff, but what we don't know what that'll look like in the fall. Maybe it'll look better. But we usually do that at the Good Acre. If it's cold, we're inside. If it's warm, we're outside, and have a program and celebrate and give out some recognition around those accomplishments. And hopefully, ideally, people have gotten the most that they could get out of the program with the certifications and the exposure to the chefs and getting knowledge from them and the knowledge on the platform. And if the optimal or the best case scenario is that someone completes the training, gets the serve safe, goes on to intern at one of our host sites, completes those hours, and then has a job offer at the end of that. That would be the ideal situation. And we have had those success stories happen in the program, and we're happy about that, and we want to continue that. So that's the ultimate overview of the program. So now it's time for questions. Would love to hear from you all about any questions you might have. Don't be shy. No questions? Are we gonna finish in half the time? Oh,
I have a question.
okay, excellent.
So I was just wondering, how do you all choose your participants?
Yes, absolutely. So we have the application. It has some questions on there. So we go based on those questions, we go through a first round. Brenna, can you talk more about the criteria a little bit? Because Brenna really helps lead that process.
I think
Yeah.
they know them.
I mean, the application helps us get an insight into what you're hoping for in a culinary career. So the first, I think last time we had like almost 70 applications for 12 spots. So we have to do our first kind of go through on that and use the application to guide us in, are people truly interested in a culinary career based on what they told us. And then we do an interview process, and in that process we have a conversation about, again, your goals, where you're at in your career process, and your learning, how you approach learning. Does everyone feel, and also your time limits. Sometimes there might be a great candidate, but if it sounds like it's not a great time for you, we might have to postpone. So we go through the selection process based mostly on what are your goals that you're telling us, how does it align with the program, and how well do we feel like we can actually serve you with what you're moving on. Does that, do you have any other questions on that?
All right. The person that was talking, I think it says Galaxy Tab E. I had to mute you because you were doing some background noise. So if you do, if that wasn't enough to answer your question, let us know. And then I don't see your name, so it just says Galaxy J2. But you said when you start cooking, do you mean when do we start cooking in the program, or can you clarify your question? You can unmute if you would like to, otherwise you can type it in. And I'll answer that. I'll answer the next question. When do you participate? Who is picked to participate? Oh, when do you decide who is picked to participate? So we're planning to have that figured out by the end of June.
July.
The end of July. And getting those notifications out by early August so we can get the process started, because there's some preliminary stuff that has to be done before we actually start on August 22nd. And then the next question, Ms. Jackson, what is the passing serve safe grade? It is 75%. And there are 90 questions, I believe, 10 of which I heard are like filler questions that maybe don't count. So you got to get 7. Oh, hey, April. Yes, so 75% of the test, and that is, we do that online. And what age did I start cooking? Oh my goodness, start cooking? I don't even know, like whenever I could cook, at a young age. But professionally, I started cooking professionally around 2010. And that was doing catering for like friends and family. And then I launched my business in 2012, but I officially had my like launch party in 2013. And yep. So, but yeah, I don't know, since I could reach the counter, I was cooking. My mom used to, I would always want to be in the business of the kitchen, right? And I still do, apparently. All right, so is it necessary to master English, or will it be a barrier for me? I only have very basic. Now I don't know, Veronica, if you're associated with Esperanza, but we do have an organization that I believe is going to be providing some Spanish interpretation for their program participants. But if you're not connected to that, talk to us. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I can't tell you if that would be a barrier for you. That would be hard for me to tell you that. But what I can say is that, a lot of kitchens have people that don't speak clear English, and, we communicate with each other, and there is a kitchen language that you can learn and develop in. And so I won't say any English barrier would be, or any, where you're at with English, I don't know. But I will say we can provide Ruby in Spanish, and we can also, and some other languages, but most of our participants have wanted Spanish. And we can provide the Serve Safe exam, the book in Spanish, and the exam in Spanish. I don't think there's a couple of other languages that Serve Safe has the exam in, but I have to look into the book. I know it has Spanish. I think it might have French and Chinese or something like that. But yet also, so we do have a way for you to learn on the platforms in other languages, and then we will just have to kind of make sure it works in the class, in the, when you're getting the lecture, and we wouldn't be able to provide interpretation, but there could be some resources for that. So we can talk about that. So please apply regardless. Okay. And then as far as the criteria, like Brenna had mentioned, we're looking for people who want to be in the food industry, who are passionate about and want to go into the food industry. And then also we're looking to eliminate barriers for people. So that's, something that plays a part, so if you're fully gainfully employed, then it might not be the best fit. First of all, because you won't have time for the program. I mean, you have to dedicate the time, and someone who works full time, it's just a lot of stress to put on a person. So, we say if you have a part-time job, we can probably work with that. If you don't have any employment, that's kind of better for the program and you to be successful. But we know that everybody has different circumstances. So we look at all of that, and we do provide a little bit of extra support for like transportation costs, and even a little bit for childcare. This time we're looking. The next question I saw was how many of our candidates also work while going through the program. I would say half, maybe half of the program participants also work, but I will say it's definitely more stressful for people and so please be honest with us about your employment situation, because I feel like maybe people said they weren't as employed as they were, and it became a conflict with their time management. And so, or maybe something changed and they weren't as employed and then they became more employed. And it just could be an issue with being able to focus. I would say more so on the online coursework and staying on top of the online coursework, because we do have a requirement that you stay 70% on top of the previous week's work. So we allow some grace. We don't say, if you're not at 100%, we're not going to pay you. So you get paid the following week for the previous week, right? So you get paid this week for last week. And so what we do is we look at your progress in the online portals, and also your attendance in the program, right? Being in the classroom. And we look at that to determine if you're going to receive your weekly stipend. And so, staying on top of that, at least 70% of what you should be to completion of the previous week's work, right? Yes, thank you, Lynn. Oh, Lynn Thompson from the International Institute. Yes, thank you, Lynn. Lynn is here. And yes, Lynn at the International Institute of Minnesota, they provide basic English food class that you take to prepare for the VoCul program. We need to connect, Lynn. Let's catch back up, because we should connect.
Yeah, totally.
Program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, I know that name, but it just like I was just focused on this. So, good to see
you have to come see our new building. It's all done now.
Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's still in the same place, right?
On Como.
On Como, yeah. Exactly. Okay. I love that. And I'd love to come talk to some of if you have a cohort again that you want me to dive into. They have cool programming at the International Institute of Minnesota. Y'all should check them out. So if you could drop your website into the chat, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah.
Lynn. And all right. So let's see. Are you looking to offer spots to those just entering the workforce, or interested those who are looking to transition into a new career? Either way, honestly. I mean, yeah, honestly. I mean, that is kind of like the same thing. Oh, well, entering the workforce in general. I mean, yeah, we're saying 18. So like fresh out of high school to people making career changes. And we've had all of those situations happen, right? And this last cohort, we had a lot of entrepreneurs in the cohort, people that wanted to start food businesses or maybe already had food businesses. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see here. I think I answered all of the questions, but yeah, Veronica, if you want to connect with Lynn about their programming to help you with the language piece, that's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you can think of, Brenna or Nikki, that I'm forgetting?
May I ask a quick question?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. You take people from other cities like Rochester or some up like I mean Rochester. And if you do you pay the mileage as well?
Can you, I caught the last part.
Mhm.
Can you start all over? You kind of,
Oh, do you also take participants from other cities like Rochester? From Rochester, and do you also pay mileage if
well,
you
we
do?
just pay a flat, we have a $50 extra stipend to cover extra circumstances. So it would just be up to the $50 is really a week is what we would be able to provide. Yep, to help try to help offset some of those costs. But yeah, coming from Rochester, that might be challenging. I don't know, how far is Rochester? Is it far? Is
Like
it-
an hour to any minute.
Oh, okay. Well, it's 2 days a week, so
We just had someone, a site in Rochester, reach out asking about being a internship site too. So
oh, that would be cool if we had an internship site in Rochester and then yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's good.
I saw Bright Odom Wingate. I see your mouth moving, but I didn't hear anything. Did you want to say something? But you're on mute. You got to unmute. You see where to unmute at the bottom? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
The question is this.
Mhm.
Is it everything in the kitchen? Are we going to do everything on the line or we're going to come over where you are? Because the kitchen things, we need to know how to cook, how to use the pot, how to do all things.
Yes, that's what we do in the kitchen.
Yeah, in the kitchen. So
later
when
in
you're
the
doing, listen, when you're doing on the line, how we gonna learn?
Okay.
I'm gonna do some practicals, cooking.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, that's what we do. We do cooking practicals. That's what they are.
Yeah,
The
that's what I'm
live-created
asking.
lab.
Everything gonna be in online, or we're gonna come over to the lab?
So the lab is a kitchen. It's a
Yeah,
kitchen.
the kitchen. Yeah,
It's a kitchen. And it's not a line. I mean, technically there's a line on it because that's where the cooking equipment is on one line and then all of the prep tables are kind of over here. And the space is smaller, so but it's enough space for 8 to 9 people to, well, it'll be 10 to 12 people to move around in the space. And we have the space is nice and clean. We keep it together. There's a separate dish area, but yes, we come together and everyone. So when we go into the kitchen, so typical day in the kitchen lab will be starting out in one room where we do our lecture. And then we lecture, there's a PowerPoint, you take notes, the instructor
that's-
teaches,
yeah.
and that lasts about an hour to 2 hours, usually an hour to 90 minutes or so is probably what they take. And then you move into the actual kitchen, and that's where you have to complete your live graded lab. So the first
Yeah.
live graded lab might be make a salad. So
Yeah.
each person has to make a salad, and their instructor comes around with a tablet where they're grading in the Ruby platform. They enter their grade. Okay, they may do it in the platform, they may take it down on a note, but later they're going to grade it in the Ruby platform. And so then once you've been graded, then we've already had a meal planned and the ingredients will already be there. And then once you completed your task, your lab to get graded, then you move into prep for the meal. So that might be following a recipe, usually is what it means, is following a recipe to complete. Sometimes the recipes are ad-libbed by the instructor, meaning they might tell you what to do, but usually they're written down. And then you start preparing for the preparation of the meal. And as more people complete their labs, more people join in on the preparation, and eventually everybody's preparing for the meal. And then we serve them, we, kind of put the meal out. And then, we always say grace over our meal, but, some people, and it's not a religious thing, it's just we bless the food. And that's what we've done. That's just a tradition. It may or may not happen with your next cohort. I'm pretty sure it may, but either way, and then we eat together and we talk about the food and ask questions and that type of thing.
Yeah, I have another question.
Okay.
The question goes like this: is it only American food or international food?
It's global food. It's
Local food or international food?
global, international food. It's food from all over the world.
Oh,
And that is, you know, we have a diverse group of participants that participate. So we have different cultures, and we kind of have the meal framed so we know kind of what we're making, and then we will ask for input from the class on what they would like to see in the meal as well. And we do our best to, and so we're always, I mean, that's just the nature of this program. It's not, you know, there's some definitely like some French technique things or terminology that you'll hear about, but most of it is very multicultural, from the cooking techniques themselves to the dishes that are represented to the chefs that come in. The majority of the chefs are diverse people of color, like our guest chefs are very diverse, and our students are. So
thank you
yes,
very
we
much.
always represent that. And we do talk a little bit about, you know, social justice and, inequalities in the food system and in the food profession, and those types of things.
Balanced diet, the
And
nutrition.
the curriculum itself, the terminology and the way people talk about food, right? So, yeah.
Thank you very much. That is a good explanation. It's
Awesome.
nice because we have to know, because it's not only American food, because when it's international, we cook all brand of food that people will like. People will be nutrition, will be make them look okay. Okay, that is nice. Thanks, thanks, thanks so much. I really understand. Very
Awesome.
good.
Thank you.
I think one thing I may add to what you're saying about, or basically the just like learning experience too, is for the people that have done the internship, a lot of them have said that being in class is when they learn a lot of the technique and like sharing kitchen space. And then based on the way we have it structured right now, at least doing the internship allows them to see that at a bigger scale, both with more employees and just serving more people food. So those two kind of pair nicely to get different kinds of.
Yeah, the internship provides a practical application to what you learn in the program, in the coursework, and in the kitchen classroom. Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions?
So how we gonna get the handout?
Get the what?
The handout, the course, the book. What?
Well, you got to go through, you got to put your application in. So we're very much early in the game. We still have
Like this. I'm like this. You see it?
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have that book.
Okay.
But what we have is like I mentioned, we have, and I don't know, maybe you weren't here at the very beginning, but so the application you have to submit, and then the deadline is July 5th. Okay. After July 5th, that's when we will start to basically do our first screening of the applications. Yeah, and that's when we will select who we will do interviews with based on the applications. We want to do interviews with as many people as possible. However, if we get 70 applications, we cannot interview 70 people. So we got to cut it down because we're only putting 9 people in the program, right? So at the most. So we need to cut it down. And then ultimately we'll start doing interviews, and those interviews will take 2 to 3 weeks to complete. And then by that time, we should have our cohort selected, and then we will go ahead and, get those notifications out. And then you should be notified early August for the cohort to start August 22nd. We will have some preliminary stuff that happens before August 22nd, like going through the paperwork and stuff like that will happen before August 22nd. So when you start, you're oriented, you're in the, and then we have orientation day, like the first day where you learn about it and you get your binder and you get your knife
The
kit.
banda.
And you
That's
get
what I
it.
was saying. The banda.
Yeah, we
I
give the binder and you have a serve safe book. Yep, you get all that. But the binder is going to be mostly empty. It's going to have some couple papers in there that are going to be self-reflection, and some of the paper, like a couple sheets that we need. And then for the most part, it's going to be empty because it's going to be for you to fill with recipes and notes and things.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
You'll have dividers in it to divide it, but most of your coursework is online. It is not in a binder, except for
Okay.
the Serve Safe book. The Serve Safe book, you get the whole book. But other than that, all of the other curriculum is on the online platform. Okay. Any other questions?
no.
All right, well, it sounds like we've answered everyone's questions, and I don't have any more comments, and I think Nikki and Brenna are good to go. So as a reminder, we're currently accepting those applications through July 5th. Orientation will be in early August. Start date August 22nd, as I mentioned. This piece about partnership inquiries. So Brenna had mentioned that someone had reached out about being an internship site in Rochester. And I know there's someone who mentioned coming from Rochester. So if you know of a organization that works with people who work with food, or people who might want to work with food, or you know a company that might want to take and be a site to take interns from the program, please have them visit our site at thegoodacre.org and go to the programs. Actually, can one of you throw the actual link to the programs, to the vocational culinary programs page on the website into the chat?
Yep.
Those people who might be potential partner organizations that we might want to work with, they can put in a form on the website. And we're always looking for more partner kitchens and partner spaces. If you know a restaurant that you like, that you want to work at, you can talk to them and see if they would like to be a site to host an intern. And then hopefully maybe we could pair you with them. I mean, I can't promise all of that, but ideally that would be nice. So if you know anyone, have them go to the website, and they can also apply to be one of our partners. And yeah. So I think that was all I had to say. And if there are no more questions, yeah, Brenna put a link to the actual form and a link to apply for the program. Yep, okay, so she put the VoCul page on there already. And then Nikki added the partner application. Okay, thank you, ladies, for doing that. And I think we're gonna wrap it up. Oh, I see two more things popping in the chat.
I'm also just putting in the participant application. Yeah, because now that this, virtual open house and Q&A is over, we've got 2 weeks to left to accept applications. So tomorrow I'll send out a recording of this session. So share it if there's anyone else that you know might be interested in this, and use that second link there, or you can find the link in the email I'll send out tomorrow for everyone who's registered. Yeah, with information to apply. So we'll be reviewing applications in July. And I don't know, Lachelle, do you want to kind of talk about just the process of like notifying participants if they're selected?
Yeah, so we will be notifying everyone, like I said, whether you made it in or not, to the program by the first week in August. And we won't tell someone they didn't get into the program until we've made our selection, because we don't want to tell someone and then be like, oh, the spot opened up. So we're going to wait until we get all the spots that we need filled and then notify So definitely get those applications in by July 5th. So to be considered, again, we go through an initial screening before we actually do the job interviews. But again, the notifications won't happen until the beginning of August. Okay. And then from that time, you'll be notified of the kind of progression of dates that are going to start happening before and things that need to be done before we actually start in the first day in the kitchen and the classroom on August 22nd. Okay.
So I have another question.
Sure.
So if you select a certain amount of people and the class start and those people not showing up, do you go back to your list and try to offer other candidates a chance, or do you just go with the people you have?
In most cases, we're probably gonna go back to the people. We haven't had that scenario, so I can't say exactly what we might do, but we have had people drop off, but it wasn't enough people that we needed to go back to, because we want to do 8 in the program, but we try to do 1 or 2 more because we plan for someone to drop off technically, because it's just, things change, people's lives change. So ultimately, I'm not saying we don't, but it's just not something we've had to do.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna cartoon.
So if you are
I
not
think I have a question.
selected, if you're not selected this time, would you be able, like a wait list to be joined the next time? Or
We haven't really done a wait list, but we do. We always want people to reapply if they don't make it into that selection. Yes, you can always reapply. But we can't necessarily. Now, if it's just like a weird, so we did do that once, actually, but it was like a really rare circumstance where we had someone that we had waitlisted and they wanted to come back. Because a lot of times people's stuff has changed so much that they'll either reapply on their own later, which we have had that, or their life changed and they went a different direction, right? So, but we always offer you to reapply, and then if you're really interested in that, then that's just something we could talk about and cross that bridge when we come to it.
I have something to ask. I have
Yes.
a question to ask. The whole process, like how many months is it going to take? The whole process, the practical, the online studies, like how many months?
It's 10 weeks of training and 4 weeks of internship.
And
So that's
is it
14 weeks.
going to be awarded at the end of it?
What was that?
I mean, are we going to get a certificate at the end of it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You get a certificate that says you completed the 300 hours. Then you get your ServSafe certificate if you pass that, and the license, as I mentioned, and then, the actual online platforms all have their own individual certificates. And
Okay,
then we
you also
provide
give
one.
it-
So you get multiple certificates technically in this program.
I didn't hear what you said. Are we going to be given a license too at the end of it?
So if you pass your ServSafe exam and you get the certificate and you submit the application and a copy of your certificate to us, we will send it into the Department of Health, and then they will send you your license. So yes, we pay for you to get the license, the ServSafe license. Yeah, the food safety managers certification and license is what we course you through, and then we support and facilitate you getting that license as long as you pass the exam, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you also get a certificate for completing the program, right? And so you receive certificates from Ruby, So each level that you complete in Ruby, they actually provide you with the certificate. And then we provide you with the certificate at the end that says you completed the VoCul program. Okay. Which is more, it's more intensive than Ruby because we have, you know, twice as much work going on.
I was just writing what the certificates are there in case anyone wants to write it down to look up later too.
Yeah, Brenna put it in the chat to help help that. Yep, so you get that ServSafe certificate, you get the program certificate, and ultimately you can, you know, put that on your resume as a credential, right? Mm-hmm. Awesome, great questions, thank you. Anybody else thinking anything else? Okay, like Brenna said, she's going to, or Nikki said, we're gonna send out the recording so you can go back and reference this video. You know, again, if you're like, I don't remember what she said, I know it's maybe a long video, but you can always resort to looking at the website, and you can email us too if you have any questions at vocal@thegoodacre.com or .org, excuse me. Brenna can throw that into the chat if you need to email us. And if you have any additional questions, but we just hope to get your applications and to be in touch and hopefully see your beautiful faces. Well, some of you have screens, so I have no idea what you look like, but the ones beautiful faces that I do see in this next cohort. So, yeah. Awesome. All right, well, you all have a beautiful night. The sun is still up here. Well, I think we're all in Minnesota. Sometimes when you're on Zoom, I like forget that where people are in the world. But yes, the sun is still up. The weather is still nice. So enjoy the rest of this evening. And I will look forward to getting y'all's applications and we'll look forward to hearing from y'all.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.